All right, for more on the Los Angeles Dodgers, we turn to our man in La La Land, Alden Gonzalez, who covers the Dodgers for ESPN. He's joining us here on Bet Right Now. Alden, we always appreciate the time. Thank you so much for jumping on. Let's start with this. First place for the Los Angeles Dodgers after everything that shook down last night. They win, the Giants lose. It's the first time they're in first place by themselves since April 25th this season. So I got to ask you, with a roster this stacked, with a rotation this stacked, what took so long? What was the problem?
Well, I think part of it was that guys like Cody Bellinger and Corey Seager and to some extent Mookie Betts, which represents three of their best position players, missed extended time. But I think the bigger reason here is that the Giants are a legitimately good team, and a lot of people didn't really give them much credit coming into the season. I certainly didn't think much of them coming in, but it's been very clear that that coaching staff, that front office, does a really good job of just sort of maximizing the talent that they have. You see it with the way that Buster Posey and Brandon Crawford and Brandon Belt have somehow tapped back into their primes that we thought was lost. But also, you look at their lineup, you look at their bullpen, they do such a great job of matching up, going left, right, using their depth and versatility to create those platoon advantages. And then on top of that, their starting rotation has been nothing short of a miracle, really. Kevin Gossman has emerged as an ace, but also Alex Wood, Anthony Desclafani, Logan Webb, even Johnny Cueto. Guys that we didn't think much of going into the year, they've excelled and they've propelled this team all season.
The Giants right now, Alden, currently wrapping up the series with the Brewers at home. Then they will start a 3-game set with the Dodgers over the weekend. Right now, San Francisco up 1-0 on the Brewers, and Austin Slater homer. So if they win this game, these two teams will enter the series this weekend with an identical record, tied atop the NL West as the Dodgers are idle. What plan does Dave Roberts have for his starting rotation in the series?
And guys, I will add on top of that too, they've split their first 16 games against one another, and each team has scored the exact same amount of runs against one another. So they're really close. And Dave Roberts is going to trot out David Price, Julio Urias, and Walker Buehler in that order. It's not the most ideal circumstance because ideally they would have had Max Scherzer pitch in this series, but he pitched yesterday. Still, that is a great trio, and it is a lot better than what the Giants are going to trot out there because I talked up their rotation earlier, but they're really hurt in the starting pitching department right now. They have 3 healthy starters at the moment. Only one of them is going to pitch in this series, and that is Anthony Desclafani. He's lined up for Friday. Anthony Desclafani has had a really good year. His numbers against the Dodgers this season are brutal. I think that ERA is close to 10 in over 20 innings. The other 2 games, those are going to have to be bullpen games for the Giants. So the Dodgers are going to have a big advantage in this weekend series.
If for some reason the Dodgers stumble down the stretch and they find themselves in that one-game wildcard matchup, they're in the unique position where they have an abundance of weapons that they can turn to, from Walker Buehler to the newly acquired Max Scherzer. Who do you think Roberts would want to trot out there in a one-game playoff?
You know, you really can't go wrong with either of the two. I think ultimately it might come down to who is lined up for that game, given that if the Dodgers find themselves in that situation, that means that every game down the stretch will have been meaningful. And who knows, if neither is lined up, then maybe they get creative and both of them or one of them just throws a few innings and gives them whatever that they can. But in a vacuum, if I could choose from either one, look, Walker Buehler might win the Cy Young Award this year. He has proven to be a big game pitcher in the past, the tiebreaker game against the Rockies, what he did in the postseason last year. He could do it, there's no doubt about it. But Max Scherzer's a 3-time Cy Young Award winner. You got Max Scherzer to pitch in games like this. It's really close, but in a vacuum, I would roll with Max Scherzer.
Alden, about 4 months ago on May 6th, way back after the season was just a month old, you said you would take the Dodgers at plus 325 to win the World Series. Now, 4 months later, through injuries and trade deadline acquisitions, here we are in the Dodgers. The price has come down ever so slightly to plus 300. You're losing a quarter on every dollar that you invest, basically. As we enter the postseason and see the Dodgers kind of surging, are you going to hedge your bet in any way and maybe try and find someone else to ensure some winnings? Or are you going all in on the Dodgers and that ticket you bought way back in May?
That Dodgers bet doesn't look awful, especially since they're playing some of their best baseball now, and at least at present, they should be healthy for the end of September and potentially going into October. But I looked through the odds, and I gotta say, if I had to place a bet right now, I would go in another direction. I would have a sleeper pick, and that would be the Brewers at plus 850. That would be my pick. A lot of people are probably sleeping on that team, but let me tell you why. Nobody wants to face that rotation in October, headed by Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff. Their bullpen is as good as anybody's. They're a good defensive team. Craig Counsell, their manager, is as good as any manager at being a tactician in the playoffs, knowing when to use his bullpen, when to use pinch hitters, knowing how to shift his infield. And on top of all that, Christian Yelich, who has been struggling mightily this year, struggled mightily during the pandemic season in 2020, he seems to finally be finding his stride again. He looks like the Christian Yelich that we know and love. That could be a difference maker for them. I would take the Brewers at plus 850.
Alden Gonzalez, he covers the Dodgers for ESPN, joining us here on Bet. Thank you, Alden. Great stuff as always.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.